Yo guys, Vision here back with more Marvel Rivals content. Today's episode I'll be bringing you the full Magik guide following the latest update, breaking down all of her abilities, including her team-up ability and addressing both her strengths and weaknesses. This is episode 32 of my Hero Series guides with all of the previous episodes on the channel, and on that note, let's get right into it. So I guess first things first, just like a general brief description or overview of the character. Magik is a duelist in this game, a DPS with incredible sustain, mobility, and damage output, using her AoE abilities, her area of effect, leveraging all of her kit into making her one of the game's most deadliest and best isolation heroes possible. As a DPS, Magik players are responsible for diving and dealing area damage, prioritizing those squishy enemies with low HP, and once any player understands her abilities, managing those cooldowns and landing combos, she is almost unstoppable at most levels in the game. Now, Magik has a base health of 250 with a movement speed of 6 meters per second, which is pretty much standard for all of the characters in the game, but of course her abilities make her much faster and far more evasive. Now, as for her primary ability, this is known as the Soul Sword, which allows her to dash forward, slashing enemies and dealing 65 damage per hit. This primary has a maximum distance of 6.5 meters, making it quite a close quarters ability, with a damage fall off beginning at anything past 4.5 meters, decreasing to 50% at anything past that. So for those final 2 meters, it's not going to do that much damage at all, so you have to be really close quartered, but for the most part, it does 0.83 hits per second, so quite a fast hit rate, and then it does a great amount of damage if you can sustain and stay right in front of your target at all times. Now, Magik's first ability is the Slash. By pressing L2, she can basically strike forward an air slash, which is a ranged ability. It has a maximum charge time of 2 seconds, dealing more damage the longer you charge it. It deals a 45 initial damage and up to 90 maximum damage the longer you charge it, and it deals this by 1.8 seconds of charging. So basically, if you just hold it for the full thing, it's going to deal more damage and travels up to 80 meters per second with a cooldown of 6 seconds. Now, this is kind of like an entry ability if you're going to start and kick out your combo, is what I would say in my own experience, but I don't actually have that many reps on her, so I'm sure there are more sort of better players out there who have used Magik, and maybe this isn't something they typically use, only maybe for when you're backing up. But for the most part, I found that if you use this as like the entry, then start the combos using the rest of her abilities, which I'll explain shortly, this is kind of how I found her to be most effective in dealing more damage. She also has the Umbral Incursion ability by pressing R1, which is basically her movement a bit sort of based damage ability, where she can dash forward and launch enemies up in the air up to 16 meters away and dealing 85 damage. And this ability has an 8-second cooldown. Like I said, this is usually like the follow-up ability I would do after her ranged ability. And now the next ability is where the hero gets slightly more complicated, in my opinion. Now, this L1 ability, known as the Stepping Disc, by using this, it allows Magik to jump through a stepping disc, teleporting a short distance in the direction sort of movement, becoming invincible whilst in that teleportation up to a maximum distance of 10 meters with a cooldown of 6 seconds and 2 charges. Now, the key with Magik is her true effectiveness lies heavily in the balance of the user, you the player, and landing those combos. This ability sets up with special effect of not only invincibility for the character when using this, but also within a certain time frame of using the disc ability, Magik can then create combos out of her next two abilities by pressing R2 or L2 again, which of course is the Soul Sword ability when you press R2, or the ranged attack when you press L2, but instead when you use the disc's ability, you actually get 2 new abilities by pressing R2 and L2. Now, the first one is known as the Eldritch Whirl. By pressing R2 after using the disc ability, this allows you to then do a spin attack, dealing AoE, area of effect, and 45 damage per hit with a spell field radius of 6 meters and a height of 5 meters. Now, this is a really good ability, like I said, if there's multiple targets in an area where you're trying to do damage to multiple enemies in single go. Now, the second ability after using the disc is effectively where she summons a Demon's Rage that basically attacks enemies after exiting the stepping disc. The summon has 100 health, deals 18 damage per hit with an attack speed of 0.25 per second, so 72 damage per second, and with a range of 6.5 meters, a width of 3 meters, and a height of 3 meters. So really close quarters. Again, it's something you want to leave behind on an enemy that's sort of statically not moving around, especially those swishy targets, as it's going to do a lot of surprise damage in the background, whilst you can then focus on other combos as well from that. And in addition to abilities, Magik's passive ability is where her sustain factor lies. The Limbo's Might passive ability converts damage inflicted on enemies into bonus health for herself, with a 30% conversion rate and up to 150 maximum bonus health. The more damage you are dealing, the more engagements with enemies, the more bonus health you're going to generate, which makes her so sustainable and really good for isolation and sort of being on her own, flanking, deep diving on her own, and then dipping back to her teammates for peeling and support. And then as for the team up ability, she has the anchor hero with Black Panther. When Magik is on the field with Black Panther, he can basically tap into his limbo to rewind a couple seconds back and healing himself, whilst also Magik gains a 15% damage boost as the hero anchor for this ability. And then for the ultimate ability, finally, this allows Magik to transform into the Dark Child, gaining enchantments to all of her abilities, which last for 12 seconds in duration, costing only 3,400 energy, which isn't that cheap by any means, but it's also not that expensive. And when used in skilled hands, this ultimate ability is terrifying and can allow a player to wipe out an entire team when used right, especially in coordination with a hero such as maybe Psylocke, as an example, leaving nowhere for the enemy team to run, and this is almost an unstoppable duo force in my opinion. In summary, I'd say Magik is one of the game's more higher skilled heroes, being more of an all-out DPS, but a hybrid playstyle between dive, support, protection, and also frontline AoE. With that said, that's the full guide for Magik. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe as always. If you have any suggestions, tips or tricks, or any cool clips about that you want to share for this character, let me know down below in the comments and I'll get right back to you. I'm Vision. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.